as a council and as a community to put everything in TxDOT's feet. I mean, they are the 800-pound gorilla. We do have to have their cooperation. There are certain things that we don't have influence, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be advocating on behalf of our citizens for everything that we can get when they're directly affected. And I think the point is that, and usually with TxDOT from experience, is you do have to get a little animated and remain animated, and they'll initially tell you no, and they won't say it that nicely, and then they'll tell you no a second time, but if you keep at them, you can get some concession. And I guess the point that I want to make is we're early into this this construction project that's going to move on. We've got 2 phases, and so we need to I'd like to be able to represent to these folks, but to all of our citizens, that as this goes forward, we're going to continue as the city to push TxDOT as much as we can, do as much as we can, and we should we should probably look at going forward. This is going to be one of many issues where we probably should look at the mechanisms for how we're going to keep those people most directly affected by periods of construction by what's going on, and let them know as much as possible. I'm not saying that we're not doing that, but we certainly can look at the process whereby we're trying to keep them notified, so that if we do have a public hearing or a discussion, they can show up.
Maybe be on our website to communicate better. Because I think that's what I hear is communication.
Well, and we do. I mean, if you go to our website, it's updates on 740 and paving and whatever. And to our citizens, that's what I would say is we really do work hard to. We found that that's the best way for us to communicate instantly, and that's what most citizens how they want it. But
people don't have that. We don't have websites. A lot of people don't have computers down through there. Rural times. Yeah.
Well,
we hear them all day long.
We see it all day.
Yeah.
At night and day.
Well, I have to, it's kind of embarrassing, but I have a snoring problem, and Craig started wearing earplugs in his head so he can sleep all night. That might help.
Oh.
At least for a night so you can sleep.
That'll help with the dogs.
About 2 months ago, y'all amended the noise ordinance so that it did include concrete pouring out. Now, this is a variance, but I think by doing what you did a couple of months ago, prior to that, they wouldn't even have to walk in the door. At least now it allows on future parts of this project, and maybe even this one, to at least pull TxDOT and Ed Bell Construction into the table, at least by doing that, so that there has to be a variance. It can't just be across the board like it was 3 months ago.
Right. Well, thanks for pointing that out, Terry. We did have that issue where on a residential, someone showed up in the middle of the night before, and we adjusted the variance, and we adjusted the ordinance, and now we've granted a variance subject to that. But anyway, any other comments on that issue? Like I said, hopefully we've at least pointed you in the right direction.
Will you extend their 11 days if they don't get done?
They'll get done, right?
We're all in construction, so that's
cool weather. Or you want to be notified if this extends again.
Well, at least that, Rich, would be nice. That would be nice.
Well, and John, for what it's worth, John wasn't here last week, so and I was sitting in his chair, so I should take some of the blame for this. But we didn't have any input on that, on where it was located, on where the batch plant was located. If you roll back the clock 2 weeks when we had that, we were in the middle of a 40-day span of 100-degree heat, and were being told that they couldn't pour during that temperature, and it got hot so early in the morning that we viewed it as understanding that people would not, that there would certainly be people who would be going through some inconvenience, and I'm not trying to minimize what you're going through, but that for that very isolated period, and we made sure it was an isolated period, that we gave the manager, we agreed that to go ahead and issue the waiver. So, I'll join with John and apologize for not giving you all notice of it, but it did come up rather suddenly to us, and it was, like I said, in the middle of that 40-day 100-degree plus where there was nothing happening on the road. So, but Connie, I certainly would. If I don't expect them to come back because hopefully we'll be into September. We're about into September, and it won't be a problem because as I understand it, the reason it was a problem is it was getting hot so early.
And they can't pour, we get
Couldn't do
that,
it.
they can't pour in that. Yeah, we totally get that.
Yeah.
Well, I run to Sigleville quite a bit, and they're pouring concrete on 190, and they're pouring concrete on 30, and yet they can't pour concrete on 740. They're holding us all up. They're holding the city up as well as they're, you know. So that's what I was having trouble understanding, if they can pour concrete on 190, and they're making progress and they're pushing. From what I understand, that Bell's got the project out on the overpass on 30, so I assume that TxDOT pulled all their men off of there and sent them out there to hurry up and get that done. So they're making us all wait. And now they want to pour, TxDOT want to pour tonight. I know, it's done deal, you know, we just want to voice how we feel about stuff like that.
Well, we appreciate you being here. We're going to take your comments to heart, and like I said, I think there's things we can do going forward that we'll certainly strive to see that it doesn't happen again. So, all right. So, any other comments? All right. Let's move back into out of the work session, back into our action items, and well, I guess before we do that, on the minutes from the last meeting, August 2nd, 2011.
There's a revised version of the tables.
We're going to have a copy of the revised minutes from August 2.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes as revised.
All right, motion by Rich.
Second.
Second by Barry. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Going to our action items. The first item is the public hearing to receive input regarding a request for conditional use permit for an accessory building greater than 440 square feet in area and 15 feet in height, built with light materials and designed as a residence on Lot 5, Block A, Shepherd's Highlands, Phase 1 addition, located at 116 Blue Heron Lane, as requested by Jim Benson, Custom Homes, Inc. And with that, let me open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone here to speak in favor of the conditional use permit.
I'm here to speak in favor of
Mr. Benson.
This is requesting a conditional use permit for Dave and Sherry Meyer at 116 Blue Heron. The Myers spent many months trying to get a house designed to fit on that lot that would accommodate a 4-car garage. As it turned out, the only place to put the garage was behind the house with a connected breezeway in order for them to have enough rear yard for a pool. We thought with the connected breezeway that it would not require a CUP. However, as it turns out, the building official said we did need a CUP, and so now we're requesting one. It's the garage area is 670 some odd, or no, 1,247 feet, and then there's a storage area upstairs that could be finished out at a later date with the proper permitting above it. It's another 600 feet. And the total height of the building is about 24 feet 4 inches. And it'll look very similar in style and shape to the main structure of the house. It'll actually be very pretty.
Okay. Great. We may have some questions for you in the action part of the deal.
If I need to address the appearance situation, I'll be happy to do that, but I think we've already handled that before.
Okay. All right. Anyone else here this evening to speak in favor of the conditional use permit? All right. Is there anyone here tonight to speak in opposition to the conditional use permit? Okay. There being no comments, I'll close the public hearing and we'll go into discussion and action regarding this item. Council, you heard the report from Planning and Zoning Chairman Dennis Condor about the conditional approval of the conditional use permit by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Dennis mentioned the submission of a modified plan. Has that been done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And from a staff standpoint, anything you want to highlight relating to this?
Yeah, Mayor, the request is to be a total of 2,002 square feet, and the total height is 24 feet 8 inches. And so it's a variance, it's a CUP for both height and area. And again, there have been changes that it does meet the appearance code. The building official has ruled that the ordinance is fairly specific as far as what items they can have different, and they've actually exceeded the number of items that they have to meet the appearance. Even though the building's shape similarly looks similar, it does meet the ordinance, the requirements of the appearance code to be different. And so the building official has ruled that it does meet the ordinance, and so they can move forward and recommend to approve.
Okay, very good. All right, let me open up to the council for either comments or questions for Mr. Benson or staff.
Either Jim or Randall, it was also approved by the architectural committee that they're in the development.
Yes, sir, we have HOA approved.
Other questions, Bob?
No, sir.
More?
So I was concerned about the second residence with the top finished out. Do you have any issues with that? I know there were some areas that are allowed to have a second residence. That's not an issue in this case?
There is a full bath upstairs that will be finished out, but the remainder of the upstairs will not be. We have accessory buildings that is permitted, and there is no cooking facilities in the accessory building, so it'd be difficult to rent it out as a living quarters. But again, we have a dish that all over town, the accessory buildings, it's allowed.
Well, but the issue, as I understand it, having gone through this, is it's not that you can't have living quarters, you can't rent it.
That's correct.
Right, you could have a mother-in-law or a friend or whomever stay there. So,
You can't rent that mother-in-law?
You can, but they won't
yeah.
Okay.
I had no issue.
Other questions for issue? All right, entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
I'd second.
All right, motion to approve the conditional use permit by Julie and second by Bob. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. All right, the next item, public hearing, received input regarding request for a zoning change from agricultural A to planned development PD zoning district for a 19.507 acre portion of 53.32 acres consisting of tract 39 and tract 40 in the A. Rodriguez survey A-231 for development of a residence and various accessory uses to include guest maid quarters, a pool house, 2 dining pavilions, 2 cabanas, equipment storage, swimming pool with water slide, sand volleyball court with lights, tennis court with lights, putt-putt course, shul shed, playhouse, grass, sports field, and parking area. This item was published and is on here as a public hearing, as was reported by Dennis Conver. There was no recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission. So at this time I'm opening the public hearing, but not for purposes of taking comment, but to continue it to a future date if the applicant decides to proceed before the Planning and Zoning Commission getting an recommendation for the council to act. Okay, it's continued to the specific date of September 20th, 2011? Okay. All right. Pete, do we need a motion to do that, or should I just say it?
You can just say it.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, so it is Public hearing, with that, I will close the public hearing. It will remain, I'm not closed it, I will continue the public hearing until September 20th, 2011, if the applicant has received a recommendation